Hang on. My camera is had a fingerprint on it. Didn't realize that before. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me. My name, I got a name. It's Mary Jane Tracy, coming to you with a little bit of 411 of the cray cray of as above, so below. I'm bringing a little bit of guidance and maybe a little bit of stuff allegedly, you know. And some of the info of the craziness of what is happening. So, got to put the lipstick on. So, there you go. Oh, I'm glitching out again. I don't like to glitch. Stop glitching on me. There we go. Oh, me and my little tub wub body. So, hoping everybody's doing great out there. It's interesting out there. It's very interesting, right? I surrender to what is, to what it is. Fuck it. Still can hear you and see you. Ooh. Yep, that's about it. Just gotta go with the flow kind of thing, right? So we're coming into a balsamic moon. So we're coming into the dark phases of the moon. We have the FIFA thing, soccer. So that's the World Cup. I mean, that's actually taking in the world. I mean, when it comes to football. So you have a lot of countries that are represented that are coming up. There is a lot of activity that's happening still over in the UK and in England and Ireland. Well, UK. So Ireland and around the world, like you're seeing a lot of unrest, like disruptions and people rising up. So that's going up into the collective. So that energy is rising up into the collective of what is happening and what is unfolding. And as this is rising up and unfolding, of course, a lot of people who are sensitive will feel the craziness, will feel the erratic energies that are coming in because people are looking for, they're frustrated. They're looking for change, right? I heard they were coming in from England and now Scotland to support Ireland. That could be. I mean, they could definitely come over, but the thing is that I don't know why Scotland and in England would come over to Ireland, but yeah, they probably would. I haven't heard that. I've just seen a lot of the Irish rising up and taking stand. A lot of people in England are rising up, taking a stand. Uh, I mean, if you watch anything in Ireland, the first thing that they pull out is the water. The water cannons come out. But nothing, the thing is that what the frustrating part, and I think a lot of people are feeling, is there's nothing's being done, right? Nothing, it's like your cries aren't being heard. And that's the frustrating part. What people are feeling. It is frustrating because their cries are not being heard. When your cries aren't being heard, frustration arises. And of course, we're going into a the new moon in Gemini, which is about communication, talking, wanting to say something, wanting to have that conversation, wanting to get it out there. Venus moving into Leo, and plus, we have a lot of energy that's coming into the opposition with Pluto and Leo. Leo wanting community, wanting to have things. Pluto, when it was in Leo, in the end of the 40s into the 50s, it was about wanting, the suburbs and community and party and connection and family. It's that child. It's like, here I am, look at me kind of thing. When goes into the opposite house, into Aquarius, it's all about the world, right? It's humanity. This is where information coming out about humanity, about our origins. This is Pluto's looking into all of this. This is coming out. What was it, yesterday? And I was watching, it was, he has a Netflix special as well. Um, I'm just going to go over here and I'm just gonna look this up. But there's a lot of information coming out about our origins. Like we've been on this earth, and I've always felt it. Like, somebody said 6,000, humanity 6,000 years. We haven't really, we came to being when we stopped being sort of the hunter gatherers. Um, and started to be the farmers and the developers, because if you became and you were able to grow your own food, the logic was then other people could do other things and develop, you know uh the carpentry. You have somebody growing the food and doing this over here. You don't have to go out and hunt everything. So the thought was that hunter and gatherers were not uh organized. But going back to Turkey, and the foundings that they found in Turkey go back to 11,600 BC, which is somewhat because the Ice Age happened in about 11,700 BC, right? Thereabouts, right? So somewhere in that 100 year, there was where hunter gatherers were organized. Pyramids going back probably 10 to 20,000 years. I mean, you got to think of the whole thing about, you had to be somewhat organized to create the pyramid at a 52-degree angle and aligned to true north, right? True north. you know so there had to be some kind of plans. There had to be something that was written. That's why I said, one of my predictions was talking about humanity. What we thought and where we thought humanity was, or where we came from, isn't exactly isn't where they say. It's like everybody wants things to be organized. They want everything to be organized. They want it to be set up in a certain way. So we want our lives to work this way. Because that's the way it needs to work. That way it feels good. Everybody, yes, yes, yeah. We're all getting along. This is the way that we work. But in comes this energy, these frequencies that are saying, no, that's not the way it always worked. No, that's not the way it always was. In every civilization, in every place, they have found that at the same time there was a great flood. Somehow there was a great flood. Noah, we all know the one, because we all, being of a Western society and raised in a basis of Christianity, we all know we all know the story of Noah, right? And a song comes to my head from, from when I was like, Noah, we called you to build me an arky. Okay. Anyways, that's a little song. Anyways, weird things come in my head. So there's a belief, but there's in other areas of the world, there was a flood. And out of those areas, there is always seven. Seven went out to form a new land. Seven went out to form a new land. So they have these stories of all of this, of the foundation of the world. I don't know all the exact stories. I find them fascinating. I love to go into them. I love to look into the history of it, because I think it's very, uh, it's something that I feel like people need to look into. Um, Let me
Before
see.
that came the sign.
So there is the Diary of a CEO. Had Let me see.
Graham Hancock. I guess the first question I wanted to ask.
Brian Hancock. Fascinating man, very smart, smart man, very smart man. Just going to share this with you, and then we'll get into some astrology. This, if you haven't seen this, I would say take some time and listen to it.
I wanted to ask you is what is it you've committed the last more than 30 years of your life to understanding?
What it is a puzzle. I'm puzzled by aspects of the human past. There could be, and I think there's a lot to suggest there was, a major forgotten episode in the human story. That's why I refer to us as a species with amnesia. And when I use that phrase, I need to give credit to Immanuel Velikovsky, who wrote a book called Mankind in Amnesia. I think we are a species with amnesia. I think we have forgotten something very important in our own past. And when I turn to the experts, I find much of what they say very interesting and very useful, but some of what they say extremely unsatisfactory and not responding to the problems that I have in the past. And that's led me to take my own approach to the past, to look at that and to offer readers, because I'm mainly an author, occasionally make TV shows, to offer them an alternative point of view, which is rational and solidly based, but which is contrary to.
So when you say global cataclysm, what does that mean? It means that something hit the planet, we were wiped out?
Yeah, there are a number of options. And again, I need to stress this because there's so much propaganda in this business, I'll be immediately accused of lunatic fringe. The solid science that's been done on this is twofold. One aspect of it, the one that I find most persuasive, is called the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. And this is a mainstream hypothesis, but it is severely criticized.
So I don't want to get my well, wouldn't be the first time. But if you watch this, I mean, he has information. There's even like he shows a map from the 1400s that has Antarctica on it, right? Drawn on it. And it's like Antarctica wasn't really founded, or they say, until the 1800s, right? So he brings out a lot of information. He has a Netflix special, like it's on Netflix. So if you look up Graham Hancock, you can, look at his series, and it's fascinating. I find it fascinating. I find looking into history is fascinating, and being open about it, because history is always written by those who won, right? It's not written by the person who lost. From their perspective, it's always written by the perspective of those who won or conquered. So having an open mind to it, right? And the information that comes through, because I find it so fascinating. Uh, and that leads me up to a lot of what's happening now, because we have lost a lot of information. As he says, we have amnesia. We've lost how we worked with the energies of the sun and of the moon, and how they and the energies of just nature, and working with nature. Before, we would say, oh, this is happening because of this phase of the moon. This is when we plant, when it's at this phase. Watching those phases, those are, unless you buy a farmer's almanac to follow those phases, to plant with them. And those who have followed them, farmers have done it um, for thousands of years. But it's within the last, I would say, 100 years, they really haven't followed it as precisely as what they used to follow, right? I mean, they used to call to plant after they called them the frost saints, and that would be, actually, you don't plant anything till near the end of May. And these little things that we used to believe in, or we used to uh be a part of, seem to have faded away. And I think, with all this energy that's coming in, this erratic energy, these forces that are coming in, are getting us to look at what needs to be shaken up, even to the opening games of the symbolic, and I'm watching the symbolism of the game, and I'm just like, this is very interesting. They have the Aztec, and then they have all of the and the natives and the Aztec natives, and I'm like, but that Aztec and going up there, and I'm like, "Oh, isn't that a sacrifice?" Watching the sacrifice, and of course, they had the Illuminati symbol. All of these symbols were popping up, right? And, the, of the soccer ball looking like a beehive and being the center of the beehive, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is interesting." I've seen, listening to that, and then, of course, on Instagram, one person that I follow on Instagram, he just broke it right down, the Spanish guy. And this is where I'm finding that it's, my husband goes, "I don't, well, we shouldn't, don't need to look at any of that." And I'm like, "Yeah, we do need to look at that. We can't ignore this stuff, because ignoring it allows for it to continue. It allows for us not to change, to sit by the sidelines and just accept it is what it is no longer. You may not be able to go in there and radically change it, but the things that you can do are, of bringing in symbolisms around you, bringing in the positive, bringing in the connections to the divine. A lot, consecrating you can consecrate your ground, but don't consecrate it like one of the things that I learned a long time ago, like even when I sold my parents' house, there are certain things you could do to get things going. And one of the things is that when we moved into our house, and in Penticton, my dad made sure it was blessed and consecrated. He wanted it like consecrated, meaning that he wanted it to be blessed in the name of the Divine Mother Mary. And he had the house blessed, and the priest came in and he goes, "I want to give this house," and of basically giving it over to the Divine Mother Mary, and blessing it. And when you do that, the thing is that when you give this to over, especially to the Divine Mother Mary, no evil can touch her, no evil can come in to her, right? So when the house was blessed, it was bringing in a blessing of saying no evil can enter here, nothing a negative, like, not saying that negativity be at bay. Of course there's arguments, life goes on and everything works, but attachments coming in, or bringing in, where people can be possessed and things like that. I mean, tells you that we're a real good Catholic family, that, and having it done, right? Having those blessings coming in. When you know that there's a lot of craziness happening out there in the world. I mean, there was just a riot outside of the Aztec soccer field for the opening game, for the game. And people, are just, it's that frustration. The frustration is coming in. And the frustration that's coming in is that people are saying, we can't do this anymore. Sure, it's a great game and it's wonderful, but there is this aggravation that happens, that's brewing. And through that aggravation that's brewing is a catalyst of change. And this catalyst of change is getting people to awaken to something new, right? And when you're awakening to something new, then you're wanting to step into a light and bringing in the light. And there's a lot of energy out there that doesn't want to bring in the light. There's a lot of energy out there that wants to bring in a lot of darkness. We just heard of something that was horrific that just happened in Temple here in Calgary. And it's just like, that's not even the first story I've heard of something like that. There's been quite a few of these stories popping up. And my mind goes to like, well, what's going on? Yes, we got a new moon in you know, in Gemini, but there's this current of negativity that's rising up. Choose your timeline. Yeah, choose your timeline. Yeah, I hear people say that. That frustrates me, right? You could choose your timeline, definitely. I mean, I can see it. I can see you choosing your timeline, choosing what is best for you. But there's still, I'm going to say, like, there's still this energy of chaos that is there, right? Doesn't mean that you're involved in that, but it's there. and it's understanding that it's there. That's the whole thing. When people say choose your timeline, okay, I choose my timeline to be prosperous and happy, and I'm not going to go into that, and that's great. But then you also have to, what am I trying to say? There's also the realistic, being a realist, I guess. I'm such a, a realist of saying, okay, yes, I can choose that. This is what the outlook, this is how I'm looking at things, right? I'm looking at things in a positive way. I know shit is happening, but there's still crap that's going on in my life. There's still crap that's happening. And that's where I feel like people have to understand. Maybe, okay, try and explain. Maybe people have to understand this craziness that's going on, even within their own life, right? Even though, because when you say choose your timeline, there's a confusion that people feel, and this is what I'm seeing, is that, oh, I'm choosing this timeline and life is going to be perfect. I'm choosing this timeline and nothing bad is going to happen. Everything's going to be hunky dory for me. And that's where I feel like as a realist, I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. It's like, yeah, choose a timeline of what it is that you want to bring, but you still have to be the realist, I think. Maybe I'm wrong in that. I could be wrong, but I feel like there's a lot where, like when The Secret came out, right? When The Secret came out, and everybody, in The Secret, oh, just think about it and it'll happen, and this vibration and getting into this vibration. The other thing too is that people also have to understand their own human design, and I think that's very important, in understanding what your human design is, because there are certain human designs that you're designed for different types of energy, and to work in different types of energy, and how you work with your energy. Don't involve yourself. When you focus on it, in your vibration lowers and you start pulling it towards you in your thoughts. For me, it's true. I can sink into it. Yeah. See, and I'm the one who wants to be aware of it, right? It's not that I'm sinking into those vibrations. I think Steve feels the same way as you do. I don't, that doesn't involve me, but it does involve you. Whether you know about it or don't know about it, it involves you. And that's where the blessings have to come in on a constant basis, right? It's like you can't be the monk that locks yourself away into the monastery or the nunnery. And I don't want to see, it's like, the king and the queen wanting to be in the ivory tower and not know what's going on. And that's that. Okay, thank you. That's what I feel is happening right now, is that people are getting frustrated because you have these people who are in their little ivory tower or in their own little world, and not paying attention to that of what's going on. You could pray for them. That's what you can do. See, that's the thing. You can ho'oponopono. You could send out the blessings to them. You might not be able to do anything physically, right? But you can send out a positive vibration out to it. Like even with when I go downtown and drive downtown, I can't do anything for the people that are the zombies, doing the yoga zombie, but I can bless them. I can bless them, right? No, I don't believe, the thing is that when I bless and when I know that I'm blessing, when I'm blessing somebody of love and light and pure source energy, blessing of love and light and pure source energy, I know I'm embodying that light within me when I'm doing that. So anything that comes to me is repelled. I find if we turn the blind eye and we don't want to look at it, that causes more of the chaos. And that's where a lot of people are getting frustrated. Too many people have turned the blind eye. Too many people have turned to not pay attention. And that's why we got teenage leaders right now. That's why we have a political system and that's falling apart. Because we all fell into this illusion of something, whatever that illusion was for each individual person, thinking that that is going to save me, help me, whatever it is. There was an illusion that was there, and of course, that's all part of what I call the fourth. We're in the fourth turning, where things have to collapse in order for things to get better. And that's why I love going through history, because when you go back, you see where there were, yeah, scholars and people and energies that were getting together and communicating, but then something comes in, right? And changes it around. Because we live in a three-dimensional world. There is this energy that comes in. And I feel like it's right now we're at a time where there are things that we can't ignore, and where we have to speak out in some way and bless it. But if you don't feel like that's right for you, then you have to honor that as well, right? So you have to honor that of your own self, and I think that's important too. But it's where things are, the eruptions are happening quickly, and the eruptions are happening faster than what people are seeing. And I feel like, where Friday carries us into this balsamic moon and the dark phases. So it's preparing us over the next 2.5 days of a major launch into a completely new Gemini world. Uranus is now in Gemini, right? And so something entirely fresh is beginning. There's something really beautiful that's coming in. But today's moon in Taurus is conjunct Mars, and one of the tightest aspects we have right now, and it's making this powerful Mars moon day. So there's a lot of energy and vibration that's coming in, and of frustration, of overwhelmness. It's also the final day of Venus in Cancer before she enters into Leo later on tonight, um, into tomorrow morning. And she's squaring Chiron. So there's a deep healing about relationships and values and emotions and self-worth and personal identity that's coming forth for everyone and looking at. And this is about getting the ego and the victim stories out of the way and allowing ourselves to embody who we truly are emotionally. And that's a big one in itself, right? And embodying that. I know for myself, it's wanting, keeping on to not falling into the old old ways, or the old stories, and moving forward. But as I'm moving forward, it's just like, um it's like this gooey tar. That's what I see. Gooey tar that's attached, and you're moving away and you're stretching away from it. And even as you're stretching away, it's thinning out, but it takes a lot of effort to move into the new direction, because there's so much attachment that we have in the world, of our belief systems, of our values, and what we thought we believed in, and found out, well, that's really not true. It's just like, what, that Graham was saying, that there is such a belief of how, civilization was, or how we were, or how the pyramids were built. But it's coming in with a new light, a new way of looking at it, coming in on a different angle. I think that is so, so important, that we come in on with a different angle of looking at the world around us. It gives us a better view, right? I just want the house of cards to fall so we can build something. Yeah, but when the house of cards falls, I mean, which it is falling now, it's chaos. And to build something, there has to be some kind of idea of what to build and what kind of structure to build, right? So, I mean, it's like the craziness. Like right now, in front of the White House is a UFC fight. They built a huge stadium for a UFC fight because God bless Trump. He wants a UFC fight for his birthday, right? So this huge stadium, it's just massive in front of the White House. Totally crazy. Yeah, but when the government falls, this is the thing. Okay, let's say the government falls. Now what? As humans, like how's everything going to work? How are we going to connect with one another? How is, the thing is that, what about, oh God, there's so many layers to it when it falls, right? What does that look like? What does it look like when it falls? Right? It's like Rome, and that's what we're in. We're seeing the fall of Rome right now. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the fall of Rome and the demise of Rome and what that looked like, right? So we're watching the fall of what Rome was. Rome span over how many, like 800 years? Was it 8? I think 800 years. And then you finally had the fall of Rome. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the fall and the dismantlement, but that caused, chaos. And of course there had to be new restructuring and new banking systems that came in, and the whole logistics of it, right? And this is where we also saw with the fall of Rome, the power of the church start to come up, right? So it's like, who's waiting in who's waiting there, right? And that's what we have to look like, who's waiting there, because somebody's got to be waiting there for it all to fall apart. Accountability for corruption, that would be awesome. That would be so fabulous, right? To have accountability for the corruption. And I feel like, as I think socialism definitely doesn't work. Communism doesn't work. But the thing is that one of the crazy things is that communism wanted to creep in even after its walls fall to other countries. And what has it done? It's creeped into universities and colleges and with a lot of young people, because of the curriculum being taught of what the ideology of what communism is, but they don't really understand what communism does to a society, right? So again, accountability, and that's a big one, having that accountability for it all. I don't think YouTube really knows what I'm talking about, because it just keeps glitching out on me like crazy. But there has to be something. So here we are, right? Here we are, entering into this newness, this new light, this new way of looking at it. And Mercury is at what? Yeah, 16 degrees Cancer today. So it's entering its pre-shadow, because Mercury is going to be going retrograde in Cancer. Hallelujah. Not really. That's fucked up. But anyways, everything beginning now becomes a part of a larger 2-month process. So everything that we are seeing now that's going on, it is part of a process that is going to be coming in and being revealed. And with Mercury eventually stationary around July 23rd and 24th, which is quite interesting, the universe is bringing important scenarios and conversations to help us understand our emotions, and our environment reflects them. So the Mercury Saturn square is behind us. So today it feels like a Mars and Venus day. What do you want? What do you value? What desires you want to experience? What are we willing to pursue? What are we ready to receive? And give back in love. And healing comes through honoring what truly has value, and not becoming distracted by things that pull us away from the highest priority. So looking at what your highest priority is in your life. And the nodes continue to be squared to Uranus, meaning life may still feel unpredictable. Things are very unpredictable. Things arriving or leaving right now can seem sudden or strange or completely unexpected. Like what happened with what Trump just did. What Trump did, right? Trump, under the cover of night, went in and stole the oil from Iran. Basically, very much like the very much like the revolution, under the cover of night, they went in, and all of these tankers, they had to turn off all their lights, all the radar, everything, and go through. And they did this under the cover of night. Now, a lot of people are like, "Wow, this is so horrible," but it got to where it needed. It's you got when you look into the story, it's crazy. It's crazy. And this is under every ceasefire. He got all these tankers out, and the oil got to Europe and everything else. And this is why there isn't such a. I mean, yes, there's still jet fuel issues and stuff like that, but that's why Europe's still running. That's why the UK is still running, because the oil got there, right? So I find it's interesting. And that was totally a Uranian thing. Like, it's totally unexpected, right? With everything that's happening. So, and the waves on I was just watching, who is it? Dan I allegedly, and then the Leo King posted on his Instagram about the waves at the OC. That they're 20 feet high. It's just fabulous. But that's because the ocean is, because it's one of the hottest El Ninos coming in. That's why we're having erratic, weather patterns and everything else right now. So things are changing. Things are getting crazy, right? With all of that. And the water looks off the coast. It looks like more Caribbean type water because of how warm it is. So I just want to go down there. I'm not going in the ocean. I'm going to look at the ocean, and it can touch my feet. Might go up to my ankles. That's about it. Yeah, not fully going in, just not doing that. That's just not what I do. So pay attention. The universe isn't asking us to cling to predictability. It's inviting us to get more curious and the excitement of the spiritual flow. Crazy, chaotic energy is out there. It definitely is. As Candace says, choose your timeline. Right? What does that look like? What does that feel like for you? It's a time to release what no longer carries value and prepare to embrace the exciting new environments and possibilities waiting ahead. That's how, and it's like sometimes I feel like, but I'm always waiting. I'm always in the sidelines. What the hell's going on? So, let's see. I didn't do Instagram live. I'm just on YouTube live right now. So might do something later on Instagram. We'll see how I feel. My class for tomorrow is canceled. So my lunar scrapbooking workshop is canceled tomorrow. And yeah, so that's fine. Yeah. So I think, I know, I got to look again. I think 318 or 319 people following me. How cool is that? That is so cool. So we're going for 500. We're going for 500. We're doing little increments at a time. Little increments, 318. So little increments at a time. That's what we're doing. And moving ahead. That's what we're going to do. So my goal is 500. So like and subscribe and share it out, baby. And buy me a coffee. Yes, buy me a coffee. If anybody wants to buy me a coffee, that would be absolutely wonderful today in this very rainy day. Or better yet, get a moon reading. Get a moon reading. Oh. So here we go. I'm going to pull the cards, see what the cards have to say. I did pull, what did I pull earlier? Oh, I think I had, wrote it down. What did I have? I had the Seven of Wands reversed and the Four of Pentacles. I hate the Four of Pentacles. I don't hate it. It's just one of those cards that are just like, oh, why do I have Four of Pentacles? Four of Pentacles is like, okay, what are you hanging on to? It's coming in, but you're hanging on to things too tight, right? And I think because the Three of Pentacles is like you're being recognized, but it's also the Three of Pentacles, if you go into it deeper, has to do with secret societies and deals being made, because it's under it's almost like you're in a cave. So Three of Pentacles is like, what are the deals are you being made, and then are you hanging on to these too quickly, right? Because the Five of Pentacles comes in, and then there's the fear of like you've lost it all. You're not seeing the true light. So you have to go back to see what are the things that I'm making deals with, right? Because there's, the Ace of Pentacles comes out, and it's like, here I am, right? Here I am. I'm here. There's opportunities, and then you feel like you're juggling. And as you juggle, there's something that's coming in that wants, that you're being recognized. And as you're being recognized, it's like, well, I don't want to overstep my bounds because I know what it's like to juggle. But when I don't release it and let it go, I end up suffering, and I don't really see the light that's coming through for me to go towards, right? My back is turned, or I'm dredging through on in pain for something, until I get to the Six of Pentacles, and then I have to learn to balance it all out. Balance what I'm receiving, balance what I'm giving. So much. That's why I love the tarot, because there's information about life in it that sometimes people miss out on and don't really look at. Oh, you're not. Ah. Wheel of Fortune reversed. This card just didn't want to go into the pack. So the Wheel of Fortune reversed. I mean, are you moving? I mean, it's a wheel. You're going to move. So as above, so below. But when it's reversed, are you really going into the direction that you are supposed to be going into, right? So getting the Wheel of Fortune. Getting the Wheel of Fortune reversed, I feel like it's like looking at what we are controlling, looking at what are we trying to control something that is already changing. Like it's already changing, but we don't want it to go that way, right? I don't want it to go. It's like there is a delay, unexpected turns, but we're feeling that life isn't moving the way that we hoped. So there's a lot of things in our life. That's why I say it feels like tar coming off of us, and hanging on to that tar. And with that, yeah, getting lost. Oh God, this one. 7, getting lost in so many choices, right? And overthinking the choices, and the choices can become very emotional. And that's where Mercury is. Mercury at 16 degrees in Cancer, and he's, slowing down. This is where it's like we can get over emotional on the choices that we have to make, right? And with that, get caught up. Yeah. So there's a lot of illusions that are going on. From the 7 to the 6, getting caught up in what has been, we're hanging on to too much that was. Right? It's got to be this. It's got to look like this. And this is the way that we've always done it, kind of thing. But the energies are coming in and wanting to change to something new and different. But there's a fear of letting go, because if I change to something new and different, maybe that means I have to be more responsible for myself. It's like the fear right now, when it comes to CPP or OAS. Social Security is a really big one because it's disappearing. People want it to be a certain way, right? And it's a fear because they feel like I paid into it. That's mine, without really realizing it was actually a Ponzi scheme to keep you tied to something or tethered to something. And it's a hard knock, right? It's a hard knock. And I think there's this reality that's coming in that people are having to face, and they don't want to face it. And this Mercury retrograde, along with Venus going into Leo, Jupiter will be going into Leo later, with this opposition to Pluto, is going to be bringing some erratic changes into our world that are totally unexpected because of Uranus being in Gemini also. So this new moon is the setting of a stage of things that are going to unfold over the next 2.5 months for us, as a collective and as individually, as we step into more of the power of ourselves and the power and connecting to that above. There you go. Woo! Craziness. That's all I got to say. Craziness. All right. Have a blessed day, everybody. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all you say and all you be and all you do. Have a great one. All right. And we'll talk to you guys all soon. Bye-bye.